Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming to the Aging and Spirituality podcast. I'm Kathy Lee Taylor.
And I'm Chris Jensen.
And we're both really happy that you are here.
We sure are.
This week, we're going to talk about some fun stuff. I woke up wanting to talk about India for some reason, and I was thinking about how people age in India and how it's different in their culture there than we are here. And it's a lot different. I called it Aging with Grace and the Spiritual Wisdom of India because, Indians' culture is always thinking about spirituality from the time they're born. I think it's part of who they are and part of how they live their lives. But did you know that they really plan to be how would I call that? Being on a spiritual journey full time by the time they get to our age. It's by the time they get right to the second half, they call it the second half. Like, they're going to live 100, so they're 50 and 50, right?
Okay.
When you get to that second half, they figure, I've done all the work I'm going to do. I'm putting this aside and I'm just hanging out and I'm going to visit spiritual sites. I'm going to go to these amazing sacred spiritual sites all around India, for the rest of their life and really devote themselves to their spiritual journey. And a lot of times that is exactly what they do. Chris, sometimes she'll tell us some stories because she's actually been to India and seen some really interesting places like the Ramakrishna.
Ramakrishna
temple
and monastery. Yeah.
Right. So here's the thing. In India, they have three main religions, which is Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. And they're all very spiritual. They have a central tenet of their faith is spirituality. They're really raised with a strong sense of what it means to be on a spiritual journey. So when they get to that retirement age, it's kind of like they withdraw from all of the worldly concerns, the work, everything that they've done up until then, and they really focus on their spiritual goals. So what if we did that? I mean, maybe not, maybe that's too high-minded for people from the United States, or that seems like too much, but think part-time, like, think you're going to do it, as much as you enjoy doing it, because really when we get finished talking about it today, I think you're going to see the benefits of really having spiritual goals in your life, especially at this time as we age, because we have the wisdom, the patience, and the time to really focus on it. So let me see. One of the things that I think Indians do that's very interesting in their culture is that they are older people in India that are aging, they aren't left to fend for themselves in their older years. A lot of the times they all live in the same family home. Their children live with them and they're taken care of for the rest of their lives. I mean, we can't even imagine that here in America, like our, older people are just like, oh, go live in an apartment, go live in an aging home, go, they don't even think about them or worry about them or figure out what's going on. And that, unfortunately, it lends itself to older people feeling really isolated and oftentimes incredibly lonely. But when you have spiritual goals going on in your life, those things will look different to you too. Being on your own, you won't feel isolated, you'll have things that you'll be focusing on and doing that will make you happy. So those are the kinds of things we're going to talk about today. Really, when you have an spiritual experience going on in your life, when you're aging, you're going to find that you've got meaning and purpose, even when you're in your retirement. You'll actually probably feel more productive and more fulfilled than you did in your younger years when you were doing work that was maybe just about putting food in people's mouths or making sure that you had a roof over your head. The kind of things that you do when you get to this stage will feel really personal and really unique and really connected to who you are. And that's the whole thing about a spiritual journey that is the best benefit for you. So the kind of things that, they're looking for in that culture when they're on this spiritual journey is having a real deeper connection with their inner self and with others and with the divine source. If you did one of those three, you would be a much more fulfilled person. If you had that inner connection to yourself, if you had that interconnection with others, if you had that connection to divine source, your life would be so much more rewarding, so much more fulfilled.
You never feel alone.
You never feel
Because
alone.
you aren't.
That's right. Because the principle of unity consciousness is true. We are all one. And when we are connected to that energy, we never feel like we're separate. We never feel like we're alone. We're very much engaged in life on different levels, you know. No matter what it is that you're doing, you could be sitting reading a book and be completely content and at peace and happy, you know. So, okay, so here are some of the things that people in the Indian culture do and that we talk about because it's something that Chris and I have done most of our lives. And of course, the number one thing that they do is they meditate. They learn to meditate at a very young age, and they meditate mostly through their whole lives. So what that's going to teach you is how to quiet your mind. And if you get into your 60s and 70s and your mind is still ruling the game, ruling the day, yikes. We were talking about that in one of the other sessions, you know, is that your mind just never stops, you know. Don't wait that long, you know. Learn to meditate, learn how to quiet your mind, because there's what's the word, there's so much beauty over that hill, you know. Like when you learn to do that, there's just so much more available. And the number one thing that's available is you're able to focus on the present. So if you're sitting there and you're enjoying, you're on a porch and you're looking out and you've got a lake in front of you and you're enjoying that, right? Your mind isn't tripping off thinking, what are my kids doing? Where's my grandkids? You know, like what's going on in the world? All the horrible things. You're not thinking that. You're in the present moment. You're enjoying the lake. You're enjoying your chair. You're enjoying your book. You're enjoying your music. You're enjoying whatever is going on. So meditation will teach you how to be in the present moment, more than anything that I know. It's also going to teach you how to connect to other people in a very, what would be the right word? Rewarding, fulfilling kind of way.
Yeah, because when you meditate and you get in touch with that, you know, that beautiful consciousness within you, you can't help but have your heart open and touch other people and feel that same consciousness in them. It's a connection on a much deeper level.
And it becomes a sharing, even if that other person, right, is not a yogi or not somebody that's meditating.
It doesn't matter. I mean, I've had people I've worked with who were very difficult to be around, and when I've opened my heart up to them and try to, you know, do some kind of yoga to connect with them, all of a sudden I feel more compassion for them and they get nicer. You know what I mean?
They get nicer. That's the fun part. I've been in so many work experiences where I've actually played with that, you know, just like really poured on the energy and open from the heart, and you can literally see them transform in front of you. Yep. They're being real dorks, and all of a sudden they go, this person's really nice. This doesn't feel right to be like, you know, feeding back all this garbage. Eventually, some of them are off track forever, but most of them will get that sense, you know, and all of a sudden their empathy and their compassion is ignited, and now you're making friends. Now you're having conversations about things that you know, never thought you would. It's amazing how it happens. You can, I think what we're saying is you really can affect the energy. You bring the energy of your inner self and divine consciousness to the situation, and you will change the people around you and your whole world. You'll change the whole world if you do that with enough people. So if you really want to be fulfilled in your 60s and your 70s, that's the place to start. Learn to meditate. If you learn to focus and find a deeper connection to that inner self, I just want to emphasize that you're going to know instinctively how to change the world for the better. We were just talking about how you can make better friends. You're at work, you're in the grocery store, and you literally go walk around just smiling at people, because that seems like something that it's easy to give. And people can use it, you know, like that meanest looking person, you know, they need it more than anybody. You really develop habits of just being able to be of service in that way. Just bring the light to the darkness, bring the light to every place that you are. Can you think of a better way to spend, your years than giving back to the world that way? I mean, just living in gratitude, living in joy, living in peace, and being able to transmit to other people, to share that. Seems like a good goal to me. I know that that feels rewarding, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And when you get it back, you feel, what's the word, not justified, but you feel like, yeah, that's why we live this way, we want to be treated like that. So yeah. we're going to be we're going to treat you like that first.
Right.
So you're going to become a living example of what it's like to be a yogi, to be committed to being the best person that you can be, and learning how to connect through meditation to your inner self is the way to get there, and the way to get that done. It's going to turn you into somebody who's much more creative, much more productive, much more fulfilled, and really becoming of service becomes like a number one thing to you. When you go out in the day, you don't want to barf on somebody because you don't feel good. Yeah. You don't want to cause bad energy. You want to spread good energy, and you want to get it back. And trust me when they say what you put out comes back to you 100 times over. So if you want to be treated good, put it out. It'll come back to you that way as well. That's what your true essence is. That's how it works. It also helps you, if a lot of people, aged people are living in communities like here in, they used to call it Leisure. What's it called now? Guna Woods. And they have all these little crafty things that people do. You can go, and if you like pottery, you can go to that room and do pottery or painting or whatever it is. But all the time you're hearing these people that are at each other, like, oh, these little old ladies that can't get along with each other. It's just this meanness that's going on. You don't need to do that. If you can center in your inner self, you will know how to bring kindness and goodness to every one of those situations. And you'll know that when that little old lady in the ceramics class snaps at you, she probably doesn't feel well. Chances are something's going on with her, Yeah. And you'll stop and you'll say something like, "Oh, are you okay? Can I help you in any way?" Instead of, you wanker, getting mad at her for, being whatever it is that she's being at the moment that she's actually not able to control. So in that way, you are doing your part to build community. Instead of a bitchy community, you're building a place where people are going to want to come and be.
Safe place with love and compassion.
Yeah. And you'll feel like you have a sisterhood instead of people that are going to knife you in the back when you turn around. Okay. So enough about meditation. We love meditation, so we can talk about it enough. But so the other thing is postures, or what yogis call asanas. The most loving, the most important thing that we can do for ourselves as we age is learn how to take good care of our bodies. That cannot be said enough. And I don't mean just take yourself to the doctor when you don't feel well. That's a little late.
Not late.
Really, 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 if I can impress anything on you, is that if you could just imagine your body as the temple for your soul. I remember landing on that concept really early in yoga and thinking that is so beautiful. And what I've done to this body in terms of dragging it around and playing sports and doing what I've done in my lifetime, I think, holy cow, how did it ever keep up? And most of the mornings I'm just like, oh, thank you. Thank you for, not my feet not hurting or my legs not hurting or whatever it is that's going on. I'm so grateful that my body is still allowing me to keep doing this and have a life that is really amazing. So really think about your body like it's a temple, and you're giving it the love and the respect that it deserves. So yoga is really about a holistic practice. It's all about your postures, your breathing exercises, and of course meditation. The thing about your postures is this, and I'm not going to get too deep into the breathing thing, but it's really, really important. We have a master pranayama teacher here, so maybe we'll talk a little about it in a minute, but I want to say about the body. You're not having trouble standing upright, or if you've already, your spine is curved, or you're bent in a way as you're aging. It's not because you're getting old, it's because you're holding on to tension. Tension in your body. That is the first thing we teach at the Yoga Center of California in Costa Mesa, is that if you learn to release that tension from your body, you won't grow crooked as you get older. And it's so important because it affects the quality of your everyday life. If you get up with tension in your back, now I've been having tension in my back for the last 2 weeks because I hurt my back playing tennis. That's no fun. That's not the way you want to go through your daily life. You don't want to be in pain all the time. So it's really important to learn the technique, the principle of what it means to release tension from your body. So learn postures. Go to our yogacenter.org, sign up for the newsletter, go to our online classes, and learn what it means to release tension from your body. That's the best thing that you can do for your temple, truly, especially in our older years.
Yeah, oftentimes, when we talk about meditation, one of the reasons people can't meditate is because their body's so full of tension. They can't sit still. So just releasing the tension in your body, it feels so good. You feel free. It's like, I remember when I started, my shoulders were up here. I didn't know it.
Yes.
It's amazing,
But even your face, like I find I sometimes spend 10 minutes just massaging my what's that called, when you're releasing tension from your, I'm forgetting now, but just releasing tension from my jaw.
Yeah.
Releasing tension from my eyes and my face, that you have, like you're holding on to it all the time. And of course, that's all moving down into your shoulders, Like when you go to teach people to meditate, you say, oh, well, just lift your shoulders and let them go. You can feel tension that's there all the time. So pay attention to your tension. And let it go. Learn to let it go. Make that a habit in your life. That's one of the best things that you can do for yourself in terms of your quality of life and your health. So, okay. So we want to talk about living at our highest potential. I mean, we slow down as we get older. That's okay. Maybe you're doing different things. I mean, I'm not playing softball like I was when I was 16. And I'm not worried about it, And eventually I will be playing tennis, I'll be I bought a swimsuit for the first time that I think in like many, many years, because I haven't been swimming. But I thought, well, if I'm not going to be able to play tennis as much, I'm going to get out there and, learn how to swim, right? When I got me a swim, you have to adjust to what's going on and to what your body's telling you, and to take care of it that way. Okay, so let's see. No, I think I made the point already. One of the things that I was saying here was, yeah, I thought about, what are the other kinds of exercise, being flexible, what are the other exercises that I can do that wouldn't be so hard on my body as I get older, like I could go to the gym. Chris and I were talking about this before we got online. I could go to the gym, I could get stronger. I'd probably be okay playing tennis, and I probably will do that for a few more years. But at some point, I'm going to transition to want to be doing something else, And getting to this age is really important to allow yourself to be creative in the things that you want to learn and be. I mean, I could do a number of other things. I could sing, I could dance, I could travel and just enjoy the beauty of the world. I could write, I could read. I've been doing a lot of that, I mean, there's so many pastimes that we could get into, and when you're connected to your inner self, you're gonna know what you want to do. Your soul will tell you, it'll guide you in what it is that you want to do. So you're looking for that balance in your body, the vitality, the strength, the health, so you can have a harmony in your life. One of the things that happens when you practice meditation and postures and doing what we're talking about is that prayer comes as a very natural way of communicating with the divine. When you have enough gratitude, it is just a natural way to express that gratitude. And it's a way to connect with your higher power as well. Prayer often comes as a result of being able to meditate, because that meditation takes you to your inner connection, and that prayer is just a natural form of keeping that communication going. You understand, what the divine sacred is telling you, what it feels like better, how it's communicating with you, and your prayers just kind of naturally come out of that, are created out of that. You just feel an overflow of love when you're in harmony, when you're in balance. And praying, being in a sacred space becomes very, very comfortable, and something that you love to do. You just love to have that sacred time. And of course, the other thing that I left in here is being of service. It's another natural expression. It is like, when you do understand how that sacred space grows between yourself and your inner self, that love, that gratitude, when you spend more time in peace and joy and feeling fulfilled, it's just a natural outgrowth that you want to be of service to other people. I think every spiritual aspirant ends up there in the same place, really loving and wanting to be of service to other people. It's why we do this podcast. We want you to know that there are other alternatives to what you see in life. So, and being of service is, again, another way of connecting with your community. And can you think of a better time in the world than right now, where we need community? We need loving connection between ourselves,
we need to the world.
For the whole world. And one of the things I was thinking about this, I'm gonna write something about this later, is thinking about how we can deal with people who don't have the same beliefs as us, don't think the same way that we do, and it's all okay. We have to learn to be able to still communicate and love them no matter what. You may not love what they do, you may not love what they say, and I'm not saying don't take guff from people. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying there is a place that you can learn to go to that is not that reactive place where you become angry or defensive, or you have to be in a fear state because of what that other person is saying or doing. You can maintain your place. And this comes up a lot more in community than it does, if you're, I don't know, Rishi sitting on the mountain meditating, it's not going to come up so much. Or if you're alone a lot, it's not coming up so much. But when you're in community, this is a really important thing to understand how to do. Maybe how to walk away when somebody says something that's, beyond your ability to cope, or it's just, too far out there for you. But there are things that we can learn to do. And maybe we'll do a whole talk on this in the coming weeks, how to be in a place where people have different beliefs, different ideas, and be okay with that. And hopefully from your interaction with them, they come away okay with it too. You learn how to connect with them. So there you go. I can't think of a more important thing that we could do in the world right now, learning how to have loving connections. And, think about yourself living in the Indian culture. You're in that stage of your life where you can do all these amazing things. You can meditate, you can do postures, you can do all these things. Take advantage of them, enjoy them.
Time to do it.
Yeah. I hope you got something out of that. Send us your questions.
We'd love to hear from you.
We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.